Hello, I'm Max, and in this video I will give you an overview of what you can do with Anyone.com. I'll show you how you can invite a client, how you can manage your buyer clients, how you can manage your properties, create a property, and how you can search for properties on the market. Let's start with inviting a client. On any page, click the button Create Listing or Invite a Client, and here we will click Invite Your Client. First, it's important to ask if your client has already created an account on Anyone.com. This can speed up the process for them later. In the next step, you can choose whether it's a buyer client or a seller client. And please note that if you want to represent this client for both buying and selling, you can redo this process and then click the other option. Here we enter the email address of the client, and just to make sure you've selected the right one, click it again to confirm. Then it's time to set your pricing. You can choose to propose fixed pricing or a commission. So let's go for fixed price at 5,000 euros and click next. Now here we can upload a signed contract that will be sent to the client. Now to be extra sure, let's review the information like the email address and in this case the fixed price and click invite. Now the invitation has been sent. The client will receive an email to join Anyone.com. Here you can see the invitation email that you've just sent out to the client. Now in this case it says Anyone Realty has sent you an invitation. In your case it will say your agency name and the client can click view invitation. Now when the client has already created an account on Anyone, this pop-up will appear saying, stay updated on your property journey with Anyone Realty. And again, this will say the name of your agency. And by clicking continue, you'll find a pop-up with the information such as the contract and the price. Now we click continue. We want to be really sure that everything is correct. And if the contract is reviewed, they can click confirm. All right, now the client can go to the dashboard depending on your representation. In this case for buying. And on the right side, you as a real estate agent will show up to communicate with. Now let's jump back to your overview as a real estate agent. Here under buyer clients, you will find the client that has just accepted your invite. You will also be notified about this by email. And here you can find properties that the client has saved, viewings that you or the client have scheduled, offers that you've made for this client, and agreements which have been reached. And on the right side, you have the option to message the client directly. Now we can see that there's one message already. So let's click on it. This is the communication center and your client is currently highlighted, which means that we can send a message to your client. Now currently you will see already a message from the system saying that the invitation is accepted, which is great. And here we can start talking to the client. We can either start a voice call, video call, or send a message. And from here, the collaboration starts. All right, let's go to the buying overview where you can manage all your buyer clients. Here you'll find a list of all your buyer clients. Now on the left side, you can search for a buyer client or filter for the status of the buyer. Now in the list, you can find the name of the buyer with a check mark if they are verified. Under that is the date on which they became a client, the amount of properties that you have suggested to them or that they have saved into their favorites, their status, for example, whether they are buying or they have already bought something, and any new messages that have come in regarding this buyer. All right, now let's click on a buyer to see more information. So immediately on this screen, we will find a list of all the listings that they have saved either themselves or that you have suggested to them. If you see a heart icon with their profile picture next to it, then that means they have saved it into their favorites themselves. And if you only see the heart icon, that's a listing you have suggested to this buyer. Let's jump over to the viewings tab, where there's a list of all the viewings that either you or your buyer are attending. And we can see more details about this viewing slot. From here, we can either view the listing or cancel the viewing, or directly make an offer, see any information about the buying process, and on the bottom, if you have any question, an easy link to message the seller agent. Now let's close this up and go over to the offers. Here you can find all the offer proposals that were sent out. Let's open one, and here it works the same way. We can view the listing, see more information, for example about the buyer process, and view the offer on the bottom. Now here you can find all the information about this offer proposal, together with the things you've done with this property. And on the bottom, there's the option to withdraw the offer. Now let's close this. If you have accepted an offer proposal, then an agreement proposal will show up under agreement reached. Let's check it out. You can view the listing again, see any information about it, or message the seller agent. And from here, you can view the agreement. And inside of the agreement proposal, you'll find all the information again with the option to cancel on the bottom. Now from here, if you're happy with the agreement proposal, you can message the seller agent to make the necessary appointments from there. So let's close this. And on the right side, there's quick access to conversations with the buyer client and the seller agents or the sellers. Now that you've seen the buying overview, let's go to the selling overview, where you can manage your properties and selling clients. On the left side, we can search between your listings and you can filter for listings that are for sale, listings that you have created but not yet published, which is draft, listings that are sold, and archived, which means they're not shown on a marketplace anymore. And lastly, under external listings, you can see the listings that we found on other websites and that we could connect to your account. So you don't have to recreate those listings in Anyone. It just happens with one click. Now let's go to all the listings that are for sale. In the overview, you'll find basic information about the listing, the status of the listing, a client that can be linked to the listing. And this is optional because when you link a client to a listing, the client will get updates on everything you do with this listing. And all the way on the right side, you'll find all the messages that came in regarding this listing. This could be messages from buyers or the agents from buyers or from the seller connected to this listing. Now let's head over to the specific listing to see everything about it. If you want to see the listing as it is shown on the marketplace, click View Listing. Or if you want to change any details, you can click Edit Listing. Now if you want to archive the listing, just click the trash bin. Then under the Viewings tab, you will find all the viewing slots that you've created for this listing. If you don't see any viewing slots, you can either add new slots, or if you do see any viewing slots, you can click the 3 dots next to it to see more information about the viewers that are attending this slot, which could be the buyer or the buyer agent. You can edit this viewing slot, and you can cancel the viewing slot. And when you cancel the viewing slot, all the viewers will be automatically notified. Now in the next tab, you'll find all the offer proposals that came in specifically for this listing, including the name, the date, the offer amount, and the status. Now let's open this offer proposal. Here you can find all the information about an offer proposal, and if you're happy with it, you can send an agreement proposal here on the bottom part of the page. And when the buyer has accepted the agreement proposal, it will show up under Agreements Reached. When the purchase is final and the documents are signed, you can change the status to Signed, and that means that the property appears as sold on the marketplace. If anything happens, such as mortgage issues or something like that, you can return the property to the market. All the previous offers will be cancelled and all the interested parties will be notified so that they can make new offers. Now finally on the right side of the screen, you'll find all the messages that came in specifically for this listing. So messages from your seller client, messages from interested buyers, or agents from the interested buyers. And when you click on them, you'll be teleported to the communication center and it will open a conversation with this person. Now when a message came in and you haven't seen it yet, you'll see this red bubble on the right side. So now you know how you can manage listings, but what about creating a listing? Let's create a listing together. It's good to know that you can import your existing listings, which we found on the internet, with one single click in the selling overview. So no need to transfer your listings manually. If you want to create new listings, you can do so by clicking on the top right side of the screen on Create Listing or Invite a Client. And in this pop-up, you can create a listing, invite your client, or invite a lead. You can also ask your seller client to create the listing, but you are the only one who can review and publish the listing. Let's click on Create a Listing. Now here we type in the address, which is automatically suggested. And from here on, you can fill in all the information about the property in every step. You can add your own input in any step if you want. And it's nice to know that soon we will automatically fill in all details regarding this property for you, because we have data from over 300 million properties. Alright, I've filled in all the information about this property. Actually, my colleague Milad did that. I'm just doing the voiceover because yesterday he choked in a piece of popcorn, so his voice sounds terrible at the moment. Now I can click Preview to see how it will look like on our marketplace. And if everything looks good, you can click Publish on Anyone. We'll see this very smooth loading bar, and your house is published. Now next up, you can schedule viewing slots. Now if you close this screen, you'll go to the overview for this listing, where you can view the listing or edit any of the details that you just filled in, or archive the listing. Now below that you can create viewing slots, where you can see any offer proposals that come in for this listing. Too bad, no offers yet. I would expect at least 3 already, with the heated market that we currently have. And after you've sent an offer proposal and the buyer or the buyer agent have accepted them, it will show up under Agreement Reached. Now on the right side you can link this listing to a seller client. And this ensures that the seller client gets all the updates for this listing. So for example, when an offer proposal comes in or a viewing slot is booked, then they will get updated. It also makes it easy to message this client right from this dashboard. So here you can see Benjamin Walker is connected to this listing. Alright, now your listing is created. Let's check out how it looks for potential buyers. Visitors can directly message you, sign up for a viewing if you have scheduled viewing slots, or send an offer proposal. Aside from the information you have filled in about the property, we also show information about the neighborhood, like the location of schools, supermarkets, open transit, and parking spots. And now let's see how we can search other properties on the market. Now here in the search bar, we can type a city, and then you will find all the listings in that city. We show the most important details about the property, like the square meters, the amount of bedrooms, the amount of bathrooms, and the amount of outdoor space, together with the total price and the price per square meter, or a square foot, or a square something, depending on your localization settings. And an option to send the listing to a client. Let's send this listing to Hans Dekkers. Now it will show up in Hans Dekkers' favorites, or shopping cart. Okay, shopping cart is probably a bit too small for houses, so let's stick with the list of favorites. Now alternatively, you can also go to the map and zoom in to see more properties in that area. And when hovering over a property, you can also send it to the client via this way, or you can quickly see a street view. Alright, let's go to the client and see if it showed up there. We can go to buyer clients, then Hans Dekkers, and there you go. Now both you and Hans can see this listing. For you, it will show here in Save Properties, and for Hans, it will show in his favorites. If you want to remove this, you can click the heart again, and it will also disappear in Hans's favorites. Alright, that concludes our tour through anyone.com. Now, I'm wishing you good luck with your first start, but if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us via the chat bubble on our website or send an email to support@anyone.com. We'll be happy to help.